Hi, this is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net, and in today's lesson you're going to learn all about secondary dominant chords. Now, secondary dominant chords are used in many songs, many famous songs. You hear them all the time whether you're aware of it or not. And it's quite a simple concept. It's a great way to spice up your chord progressions. And basically what it does is it allows you to momentarily step out of the key of the song, if you like, to add that spice and then back in. So rather than just staying diatonic to the key, only using the chords that belong to the key, secondary dominants allow us to step out of that and then back in. And that's what gives a chord progression or a song a little bit of a twist, if you like. So that's what we're going to be learning about in today's lesson. I'm going to break down the secondary dominant chord concept for you using the key of D major, and I'll take you through each of the secondary dominant options you have in that key. And then we'll look at a few songs that use secondary dominant chords so you can see them in action to further your understanding of them. So let's get to it. So I've got one more here that is similar in the sense of stepping outside of the diatonic key that you might be in for any particular song. And that's secondary dominant chords. That's a great concept. And that was another one that I would see often and not really understand, just accept, okay, well, you can do that. But understanding it really allows you, again, to use it yourself and understand it on a much deeper level when you see it being used. So the basic concept, if I'm in the key of D major, let's take D major here, there's the primary dominant chord, which is the 5 chord, which would be A7 in this case. We don't really call it the primary dominant, it's just the dominant chord, but it is the primary dominant chord. And you can hear that it wants to resolve to the 1 chord. Okay, perfect cadence, 5 to 1. Now, secondary dominant is the concept that every other chord in the key can have a 5 chord resolve into it as well. So in the key of D, my 2 chord is E minor. Okay, the 5 of E minor is B7. And you can see and hear more the point that B7 is basically what we might say tonicizing the E minor chord, making the E minor feel like the 1 chord, at least momentarily. Okay, it's the 2 chord, we could say it's referred to as the 5 of the 2, meaning it's the 5 of the 2 chord in D major. And the B7, of course, is not a diatonic chord to D major, but it will work in a progression if you resolve it to the 2 chord. The 3 chord, F sharp. So the 5 of the 3 chord, F sharp minor, is C sharp 7. So that resolves to, that's a secondary dominant too. They're all secondary dominants, these. The 4 chord in D major is G, so the 5 of G is D, D7 to G. D7 is not diatonic to D major, it's close, but it's got the flat 7 in there to make it the dominant chord and resolve to the 4 chord of G, which is diatonic to D major. So you get the idea, right? The E7 can resolve to the A, that's the 5 of the 5, right? The 5 chord of D is A major, the 5 of A is an E7, resolves to A. So each chord in the key has a secondary dominant, except for the 1 chord, which has the primary dominant. So what does that all mean? That means that we can inject those chords into chord progressions. I'll give you an example here. A Billy Joel song called For the Longest Time. It's a good example of secondary dominance. So we've got this intro, right? Just in G. Now in the verses, it's now here there's an E chord, which is not diatonic to the key of D. However, it resolves to the A. You can hear that brightness of that chord, if you like. It's not E7, but it's still a secondary chord. Okay, it's the 5 of the 5 chord. So again, that chord progression is descending, initially G to D, then we repeat that. Here it is, secondary dominant E to A, then secondary dominant to the B minor, primary dominant to the root chord. So we've got a series of secondary dominants there, not just the E to the A, but the F sharp to the B minor, primary dominant to the D, and then it's back into the diatonic chord progression throughout the song. So that's a really good example of a series of secondary dominant chords. Another one quickly, key of C. There's a song called Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out, and it goes like this. It's just like a little 8-part blues. There's a series of secondary dominant chords there. We've got the C root chord, and this is the 2 of the 6th chord, which is also then 5 of the 2 chords. So we've got a chain of secondary dominants there, which initially goes back to the 5 of the 2, to the D minor. Then you've got this 4 chord. This is a diminished chord, so nothing to do with our concept here. C, then A7, to D7, 5 of 2, which would then also created the dominant chord to get the 5 of the 5 before the 5 goes back to 1. So I know there's a lot of numbers there, but this is, you really see this at play. These aren't things that happen sometimes and they're a little obscure, they happen all the time. I think borrowed chords and secondary dominants will go a long way to explaining any time you see a chord that's not of the key. Not in every instance, but most of the time it's one of those concepts will cover why you're seeing a B flat in the key of C, or why is there E7 in my key of C? The 3 chords E minor, shouldn't it be E minor? Now you know why, because it's leading to the 5, it's the 5 of the 6th chord in C. So secondary dominance is another really common, helpful one to break you out of. Again, we're talking in the context of chord progressions here, so these concepts help you create and write better chord progressions, even without learning any new chords. If you've just got basic open and bar chords down, you can use borrowed chords and secondary dominants. You don't need to have a large chord vocab to be able to use these things effectively. If you like this video, then you'll love this free ebook I've created for you in my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series, simply titled Block Chords. In this ebook, you learn the 3 main block chord types for your guitar playing and how to create great music with them. I also show you how to best visualize these shapes on your guitar so you never forget them. It's as easy as changing one single note in each block chord shape. You also learn a system for easily relating the block chord shapes to each other all over the fretboard so you can play any chord you like in any position with ease. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Block Chords. Let me know in the comments below what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I read the comments, I love the suggestions that you put forward. Many of them do become videos, so don't be shy. If you want to see something, drop us a line and I'll be sure to get to it. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the all-important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video, which will be every single week. Thank you so much for being here. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net. As always, I really do appreciate you taking time to check out my videos. I hope they help your playing, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next one.